Rick and Morty is the kind of show that somehow manages to be both deep and anxiety-inducing noise at the same time. You know it's aiming for genius when the cold open involves interdimensional genocide, a sentient piece of toast, and a joke about quantum mechanics, before the intro theme even plays. It's like the writers took every sci-fi trope ever, blended it with a gallon of vodka and let a philosophy major and a nihilist do the script edit at 4 a.m. At its core, the show is about Rick Sanchez, a hyper-intelligent scientist who is essentially what you'd get if Albert Einstein and Hunter S. Thompson fused in a lab accident. He's a walking embodiment of, I'm smarter than you, and I hate that I have to prove it every week. Morty, his perpetually horrified grandson, is less a character and more a moral crash test dummy, thrown into scenarios that range from slightly unethical to, I'm pretty sure the Geneva Convention would explode if it saw this episode. Critics like to say the show is a meditation on existentialism. That's generous. It's more like a meditation on how the universe is meaningless. But hey, we've got laser guns and talking cats, so stop crying. Rick's worldview is a black hole. Everything is doomed, love is a chemical illusion, and life is just an accidental glitch in a cold, uncaring cosmos. And somehow, instead of collapsing into a puddle of despair, the show turns that bleakness into absurdist slapstick. One minute you're questioning the nature of free will, the next you're watching a giant floating head demand a planet-wide music competition. The humor is surgical in its cruelty. The show doesn't just break the fourth wall, it smashes it, sells the rubble on eBay, and then mocks you for thinking walls ever existed. Characters die in brutal, meaningless ways, entire planets are obliterated for the sake of a 2-second gag. And then, just when you think you've emotionally detached, the show slaps you with a sincere moment about trauma, family, or mortality, before pulling the rug out again. It's emotional whiplash, but somehow addictive. But let's not pretend the show is flawless. The smart humor sometimes trips into self-parody, especially when it leans too hard into meta-commentary, as if the writers are winking so aggressively they've developed a twitch. And while the early seasons balanced Rick's cynicism with Morty's naive hope, later episodes often feel like they're competing in a who can be the most jaded contest. There's a fine line between bleak insight and just being emotionally exhausting, and sometimes Rick and Morty barrel rolls over it. Still, when it works, it's almost untouchable. The sci-fi concepts are both ludicrous and strangely plausible. The world building is so detailed it could fuel a dozen spin-offs. And the sheer creativity per episode is something most shows would stretch across an entire season. It's the rare series that can reference The Fly, Inception, and a PSA about the dangers of eating random glowing substances without it feeling forced. Rick and Morty is a paradox, a show that mocks sentimentality but occasionally makes you feel things anyway. That celebrates intelligence while reminding you it's ultimately pointless. That's wildly inventive while insisting invention means nothing. It's a series for anyone who wants their brain tickled, their morals challenged, and their faith in the universe quietly dismantled, preferably while laughing. In the end, maybe that's the genius of it. The show doesn't promise answers, happy endings, or moral clarity. It promises chaos, cynicism, and the occasional emotional gut punch, delivered through burps, screaming, and improbable amounts of green portal fluid, and somehow, against all reason, it works. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Quirky Critic signing out.